one challenge I had specific to my adoptee identity was the way my adoptive parents would talk about it. It felt very like a prize. I felt like something that they owned. It was very hard for me, and still is hard for me to um, feel ownership of myself, even as an adult. I think there is lasting trauma associated with adoption that it could be, emotional, like stunting of emotional development, or, you know, uh, challenges with having a sense of self.
Some of the biggest challenges I faced growing up as an adoptee include having an identity crisis, undervaluing myself because I didn't meet others' expectations, lacking confidence in my ability to succeed, overcoming criticism for following American culture instead of quote unquote being Asian, finding my place within society/slash friend groups, and the hardest part, coming to peace with this whole thing.
Music gave me a very strong sense of self, um, whether tied to adoptee identity, or it gave me something that I could feel proud of, and accomplished in, and also part of something. I think music has been my vessel for not only creativity but also understanding myself, and gave me the ability to somewhat be somewhat better at communicating these things to the rest of the world that might be harder for me to say.
I overcame these challenges by adopting a growth mindset and living life with accountability.
There are other challenges that I never knew were linked to adoption, but now, later in life, I'm looking back on it and they're much more pronounced. I think that speech challenges with speech or speech impediments might be something that some adoptees can relate to. And I've recently learned that uh, if you have early development of speech recognition, such as growing up in a foreign country that speaks a different language, those patterns, like the speech recognition patterns, are still imprinting on your mind or your brain, even as an infant or a child.
I'm a firm believer that a victim mentality will only stunt our growth and limit our potential.
So some of the biggest challenges I faced wasn't necessarily tied to my adoptee experience. It was more tied to these feelings of isolation. Like, it was very hard to have friends in school when I would travel to the mainland to go to a regular school, because my life was tied to a boat schedule. So after school activities or even like friendships were hard to maintain. I did, meet friends, and I have friends, and I had a childhood with friends, but it wasn't really until I was a little bit older, like middle school, after I moved off the island, that I was able to develop like friendships. I was able to hang out with kids after school.
And the more time we spend victimizing and convincing ourselves that our excuses are valid, which we all know is so easy to do, the less likely we are to impact people's lives.